Are we? Does everyone see anything going on in the same window as before?
It'll make a new one, so probably not.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
This one's done and just posted as a video, so I think you'll have to start with a new one.
Oh no, there's
Yeah,
a new
okay.
link. Yep, the new link
Okay.
works.
Awesome. And you guys can see the screen updating, right? If I change it to a new page. Okay, so it's
Great.
updating. Yes, awesome. Bit of a delay, but that's fine. Okay, I'll just wait until people are in. And now, thank you everyone for your patience. Computers are hard. Awesome. Now that the thing has decided to work, we can continue on with the results. And sincere apologies to everyone for the delays. We're now going to the worst state in America, New York, which is Atlanta's 2nd district. And in the 2nd district, Super Pac-Man 4 has defeated President Dewey by 0.2 points at 50.1 to 49.9. Both candidates got 2.9 million votes, and it was very close. And in a knife-edge result, Super Pac-Man has won this for the Civics.
Can't wait for Bush to work Part 2.
And now we are going to the 3rd district, which is Pennsylvania, New Jersey, where Aubryon has won with a commanding 20-point lead for the Civics over Napoleon Hobbs for the Democrats. What this means is that the entire Atlantic House delegation for the first time is controlled by the Civics, and we'll now find out whether they have swept the entire congressional delegation when we go to the Senate race, which had former President Guns neck and neck with Democratic State Party Chair Zippy 23. And in the first Senate race of the night, Guns has defeated Zippy 57 to 43.
My God!
In with his 2.5 million popular vote lead, clearly the Civics have become the majority party of Atlantic. Party leaders, what do we think? Let's start with the big winners in this state, the Civics. Hello? Ibni, are you there?
Bruh moment.
Ibni, okay,
I'm here. I'm here. My mic cut out like I was on a presidential debate. Anyway, I just have one thing to say about these results: based and purple pilled. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Darth. What do you think? The Democrats had good expectations going into Atlantic, right?
So this was something of a devastating loss. We did expect good things from Atlantic. It's my home state, and I would have loved to see a blue Atlantic once more, but it seems like it wasn't meant to be. Props to all of our candidates for a race well run, but I still have high hopes for the other states. Atlantic isn't the end.
Mm-hmm. Since the Republicans did not actually run a single candidate in Atlantic, let's just move on to Chesapeake right now, with apologies to DDYT. In Chesapeake, I believe that currently the Chesapeake congressional delegation is majority Democrat, of course, with 2 Democratic senators. So let's see whether the Democrats can pull off another victory in the Old Dominion. First off, we have the 1st district, which, unless I am horribly wrong, is centered around the DMV area, around the nation's capital. And there you have former Chesapeake Senator Cold Brew Coffee facing off against Supersonic Sam of the Civics Party. And in the... Oh, apologies. First, you can see here briefly there is a map of the Atlantic Senate race, where you can see that although Zippy did well in New England, he lost heavily in the 2nd and 3rd districts, which ensured his loss. In the 1st district of Chesapeake, Cold Brew
Hurricane.
Coffee defeated. Yes.
We do need to make a correction here. It seems like there was a graphical error. Guns actually won by 51% to Zippy's 49%. Just wanted to throw that out there. The margin was not as large as the graphics showed. Thank you. You can continue.
Thank you. When the graphics are finally released at the end of this show, they will be corrected if any mistakes are caught in between. Apologies to everyone. ABC News regrets the error. Now we are going into Atlantic's 1st district, where Cold Brew Coffee of the Democratic Party has kept a seat for the Democrats versus a challenge from the Civics. He won this 57-43. We are now moving into Chesapeake's 2nd district, where Icy Helicopter of the Republican Party attempts to win the seat from Edward Wright of the Democratic Party. And Edward Wright has kept the seat for the Democrats 52-48 after a tight race where both candidates exchanged the lead in polling. And finally, for Chesapeake's House districts, we are going to the 3rd district, where APTH 10, a representative in the Congress for the Democrats, is facing off against I Made a Writing Account 5, a Chesapeake Assembly person. Now, the Civics had the lead going into this race in the exit poll, and they have kept it, winning this race handily 60-40. So Chesapeake has a majority Democrat delegation, but now we're about to find out whether they have kept their Senate race. Of course, the Democrats will need 2 seats in the Senate in order to keep their majority, with Vice President Top Prospect 17 having the tiebreaker vote. Meanwhile, the Civic Republican coalition needs to gain 4 seats in order to flip control of the upper chamber. And in Chesapeake, Polka Dot 48 has won this race for the Democrats, 53-47, against former Republican Chair Malp 88-36. Party leaders, what do we make of this? Let's start with the Democrats. Darth?
So these are very good results all around. Obviously, we had 1 loss, but those are 2 House seats as well as the Senate seat that we're keeping, which is definitely a strong showing for the Dems. And it looks like, especially with these, 4 seats that we have in the Senate already, that we'll be getting to keep control of the Senate. And hopefully I get to keep my job as well.
Thanks. Ibni, what's your take?
I'm going to be honest, this is less based in Purple Pill than it was before. However, I do enjoy that we did at least win one of the House seats in the Chesapeake delegation. It's a bit disappointing Melp lost, however, it is not without being expected. He was not polling as well as what was shown there, and it was most likely going to be a loss there. We still have a chance to take the Senate, the coalition themselves, but unfortunately, it's looking more like it's going to be a retained Senate with a possibility still at the House with us in the lead.
Thank you. DDYT, what do you make of this?
Considering the fact that Melp was nearly dragged over the finishing line of his campaign, I'd say that's a pretty amazing result overall. And I think it shows that even though we have fallen from grace a little, the American people still are holding on to hope of the GOP continuing on.
Thanks. APG, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, especially in the Senate race, 2 titans of Chesapeake went to battle, and certainly more recognizable figures there than I think we've seen in a long time. So to see both of them come to the state and both of them go through the Senate race, I think says a lot about how the state views their politicians. They send the best of the best, and they had a really tough choice this round.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Now let's move on to Dixie, proudly Confederate flag free for all of 8 months. In Dixie, we in fact have more than it's not just a two-horse race because the National Popular Front has risen as a surprisingly strong third-party challenge against the Democrats and the Republican Civic Coalition. While they started off fairly weak, around 10 points in early polls, they've actually caught up in both races they are contesting, the 1st and 2nd districts. So now we're about to find out whether we're going to get a third political force in Congress. Let's begin with the 1st district in Florida, where Democrat Brexit Blaze is neck and neck with Pick, who is representing the NPF and who is its leader. And I always forget about the Senate map. In the Senate, you can see Ohio has gone very strongly for Melp in a complete reversal of the governor's race, where Melp heavily lost that state to incumbent Democratic Governor C. Docra. And meanwhile, you can see a lot of blue in both the Carolinas and in Virginia, which really put Polka over the top.
Wait,
now
it's
let's
not
go to
all
the
Ohio?
Never has been.
now let's
Ohio.
now let's go to the 1st district of Dixie, where, for the first time ever, the National Popular Front has actually won a seat, with its leader Pick being elected with 47% of the vote to the Democrats' 43%. The Republicans trail heavily at 10%, which means that we are going to get a 4th political party in Congress this term. While this might be surprising to many of our viewers, the polling clearly showed that a large number of Floridans have found the policies of the NPF appealing for one reason or the other. And now, let's see if they can keep it up in the 2nd district, where their candidate, in fact, is in the lead, with King Swifty having a narrow 1-point lead over Democratic nominee 18 CJW, but where Republican Vice Chair It's Not Brandon is also in the running, not far behind the 2 frontrunners. And in the 2nd district, the Democrats have won this seat with 39% of the vote. It seems that there's been heavy vote splitting in this district, with all 3 candidates nearing the 30s, but 18 CJW has squeaked out a victory in the 2nd district, with King Swifty on 32 and It's Not Brandon on 28. So clearly these are some very surprising results coming out from the southern state. And now let's see what happens in the next 2 districts, although these should be less surprising, with former Governor Stormstopper having 67% in the latest exit poll. He has, in fact, won the 3rd district, to no one's surprise, with 65% of the vote to Republican nominee Riley 8583's 35%. And now we are going into the 4th district, where incumbent Congressman Alpal 2014 aims to keep his seat against a civic challenge. He currently leads 52-48, and now let's see whether he has kept up this streak in the 4th district for the Democrats. And he has, winning 57% of the popular vote to the Civics' 43%. This actually means that the Democrats have now taken the lead in House seats from the Civics, with the Democrats on 5 seats, the Civics on 4, and the NPF on 1. We are now going into the decisive Dixie Senate races, which will really make or break the Democratic majority there. First off, we have incumbent Senator Triplion's 18 going up against Civic candidate Jacob Austin, who has made himself a very prominent figure in America's legal community in recent months. Triplion's 18 leads 65-35, so unless there's a horrible polling error, the result should be that he has won, and he has, with 64% of the popular vote to the Civics' 36%. Now, what this means is that with Vice President Top Prospect 17's tie-breaking vote, the Democrats have kept control of the Senate. If we go now into the map, which I finally remembered this time, you can see a strong amount of blue going on over this third district and the second district, while there's a fair mix of purple and blue in both Florida and Texas. APG, do you have anything to add for Dixie?
Yeah, Trip is again another staple of the state, and I think it's great to finally see him win, especially by such a large margin. Jacob and Austin put up a steady fight, but as you can see, I mean, just lots of blue all over the map. Tripp took his last campaign against Governor Whitey, and I think really learned from any potential mistakes, and obviously ran with his successes. So congratulations.
Thank you. Party leaders, let's now go to get your take on this. We've got many things happening here. The Democrats have kept their Senate majority, but we now have the NPF as a rising political force in American politics. BDYT, why don't you start us off this time?
Just show us the other Senate result.
Oh my God! There's a second Senate result. There is.
You do it. You're just trying to lengthen this. Hurry up.
In the second district, apologies, in the second Senate race, which is a special race to fill former Senator Presentsale's seat after his unfortunate demise. Democratic nominee Adrian Soccer is leading incumbent Republican Senator Seldom 237 by 4 points. Now let's go to the results. And in this race, the Democratic challenger, Adrian Soccer, has pulled off a victory, 55-45. Let's go quickly to the maps here. You can see that there's quite a lot of blue in the second and third districts, just as there was in the last election for Senator Presentsale's race. And you've got a more even mix in Texas and Florida. DDYT, it's your turn.
This is a sad day. Truly sad that we have seen such a loss like this. This was a race that we really needed as a party to keep going. All we can really do is hope going forward that we can make gains. But with this, I think we may be lost.
Thank you. Now let's go to Ibni. What do you make of this, and what do you make of the NPF's rise?
Jesus Christ, DDYT, are you okay, bud?
No, I've been in the Senate alone. Please help.
Okay, well, anyway.
Never alone.
Yeah, anyway.
Commies aren't people.
Okay, thank you. I'm very happy to see that Pick is I believe he's the first independent to ever win a House seat without party backing. It's actually quite incredible that he's been able to do it, at least since the 2018 surprise resignation of literally every single person in the U.S. government. But what I found the most shocking was that somehow Triplion was able to win every single county in Missouri. That's just amazing to me, quite honestly.
Yeah, it is. Now let's go to Darth for the Democrats. You've won. The Democratic Party has won both Senate races and most of the House races, but you've lost the first district to the NPF. What do you make of all of this?
There's a lot to unpack here. First, those 3 House races. It's incredible. I'm happy to see another blue sweep with us winning a majority of the House races in the state. When it comes to DX1, it's unfortunate, but we beat them in 45. We'll do it again. And then on to the Senate races. Triplion's, he had an incredible race, completely pummeled Jacob. I'm incredibly proud. And same with the other Senate race, really. This was one of the tightest races in, I think, American history. Both candidates had some incredible campaigning, flooding press. But Aditya ultimately came out on top. And again, it's incredible to see him win. Very happy to see that we have another majority in the Senate.
Awesome, thank you. Now let's go to Lincoln, the state named after one of the least worst presidents in American history. In Lincoln, it's traditionally a very democratic state, but recently there's been a few changes with President Guns, of course, winning that state in the last federal election, and now the Civics rising as a major political force, sweeping the governor's mansion and having a governing majority in the assembly. Now let's see what goes on here, whether their state level successes are reflected at the federal level. Let's start off with Lincoln's first district, which is Michigan, and that part of Lincoln west of Ohio that no one likes, also known as Indiana. In the first district, the Democratic nominee in Chapter 12 has defeated the Civic nominee, Griff 25, with 52% of the popular vote to 48%. Now, this is a close race, unlike the one we are about to see, where House Majority Leader Ski Boy 625 of the Democratic Party faces off against Republican Russian Speaker. Now, the exit polls had Mr. Ski Boy up 75 to 25, and the results show that the blowout is even bigger, with Ski Boy 625 winning 79.5% of the popular vote, almost 80,
Jesus
and
Christ.
the highest popular vote margin we've seen in any race for a very, very long time.
Fantastic.
Clearly, the people of Illinois and Wisconsin are with the Democrats here. We are now going up to the third district, where the Republican nominee, Cooley Zero, is facing off against Democratic star candidate Confident It, who is of course a well-known household figure in many states because he has run in many, many congressional districts. According to the exit polls, he is up by 10 points, and this is borne out by those results, where he has won 59 to 41. So right now, the Democrats have won 3 House districts, and we're going on to the 4th, where the Democratic nominee, Nasbol 909, has a 20% lead in exit polls. And to no one's surprise, Nasbol 909 has won against the Civic nominee, Illustrious 804884, with 59% of the vote. This means, of course, that the Democrats have swept the House delegation of Lincoln, but now it's time to see whether they can keep up their success in the Senate, where Speaker, I'm sorry, how do you pronounce, Darth, how do you pronounce,
Madkip?
Madcap, yeah.
Okay, where House Speaker Madcap is facing off against DDYT, who is by far the longest-serving senator in the history of the Senate since the magic resignation of the government in 2018. This is a neck-and-neck race, and DDYT has been forecasted to lose many Senate races in the past, although he's always managed to pull off a surprise. Let's see if he can keep up the streak. And he has. DDYT has won the Senate race in the Lincoln 50.4% to 49.6%. This is a difference.
I've done it.
This is a difference of slightly more than 100,000 votes. It's a very small margin here, but DDYT has done it again and will be returning to the Senate as its lone Republican senator. DDYT, since this is your race, go ahead.
You know, coming in, I was truly worried. Seeing the complete stranglehold the Dems have in many areas of government, I was worried that the swarms of people crossing the Sierra border, who looked like they were straight from California, were going to turn their race. But it seems like the great civil service workers of Lincoln have stopped the meddling of both the Democrats and the former Russian communists who support their rise to socialist power. But you know what? It's good going forward that at least somewhere in America, that liberty will reign, no matter what it takes. But for now, I'd like to give a special guest some time to join the call. One moment.
Uh-oh.
What?
What?
What? I'm sorry, what?
I would like to welcome my co-host for representing this, as I was given power to just let people to just do what I wanted for this. Hurry up, Pick. Get in the voice call already. Wait, yeah, continue.
All right, while we're waiting for him to join in for some reason.
There
Okay,
he
he's
is.
in. Hi.
Hello.
Thoughts?
On what? The Senate race?
In general.
So I already knew that the Democrats were going to win the majority of LN. I did get the LN1 prediction wrong, but I was correct about the Senate.
Thank you. APG, do you have anything to say about the Lincoln race?
Oh my God! Coming in from Lincoln 4, it's a whole bunch of voters with steel chairs. I swear to God, if it were not for just how massively DDYT turned out people in Lincoln's 4th district, this would have likely gone to the Speaker of the House. It is really that district that pushed DDYT over the edge, and somehow, some way, he keeps coming up. He keeps coming up with ways to win the Senate seat. I don't know how, but he does it, and that's how he did it this time. So, congratulations, I guess, DDYT, for remaining our longest-serving senator.
Never underestimate the power of God, anime, and freedom.
That is so true.
Thank you. Now let's go to the Democrats, to Darth. Darth, you're the Senate Majority Leader, and your colleague from Lincoln is returning. What do you make of the results in Lincoln?
I mean, I'm incredibly happy with the performance that we had with all these House seats, but I really have to question the mental acuity of these Americans who are voting for a blue House representative and then go on to vote for the senator who proclaimed that he's a zombie and is surprised that he hasn't been removed yet. I really don't know how to respond.
That sounds like slander.
Well, clearly, speaking of slander, to everyone watching tonight, you will be expecting a court decision in the NPF's slander suit against the Republican
Oh my
Party
God.
very soon. But first, let's go to Ibni for the civics. What do you make of the results here?
Are we still held to not swear on live TV? Is that still a thing, or did we get rid of that with
Did
the
you not see the House rules?
We're following the quorum. Right?
DDYT, how the heck do you do this? How is it possible?
Okay, I do way more than you people give me credit for.
I had no.
You see, I'm clearly not seeing the great retrospective on the great history of DDYT anime production. It's a great retrospective of the history.
Folks.
You've seen my.
That's all I just want to say. I'm kind of sad about the House races. That really sucks. But what? Just keep doing what you're doing, DDYT. I don't care at this point.
Thank
So
you.
true.
Now we are heading out into Sierra, where in the 4 House races, we're going to see whether the Democrats can make gains. Right now, the Sierra delegation has, of course, 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans, and a Democratic senator, Cuba's Castle District, who is fighting to keep his seat in the Senate. Let's first off go to the 1st district, which is Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, and Mormonland, where the Civic nominee, who has a surprising likeness to the former chairman of the People's Republic of China, is facing off against Ray Carter of the Democratic Party. They are essentially neck and neck, 51 to 49. Before we go to the results, whoever is inviting people into our group chat, stop it. Thank you. We are now going into the 1st district of Sierra, where Ray Carter has defeated a Chairman Mao impersonator. 51 to 49.
Hey, can you guys please leave?
Apologies, everyone. We are currently banning everyone who just showed up in this
We've been
call.
brigaded.
Thank you. Thank you. Back to the 1st district, where the Democrats have won 51 to 49. Of course, this was a Democratic seat to begin with. with former Secretary of State, not the dark web, winning the seat last election. And now the Democrats have kept it in their hands, bringing them to double digits, to 10 seats in the House. We're now going to California, where the battle of two foreign governors has really heated up into a neck-and-neck race, with former Chesapeake Governor Leafy Emerald contesting this race in California. Or again, I remind you, in California, against former Dixie Governor Block Denied. And we can see here that the Republicans have won their first House seat of the night, 50.1% to 49.9%, in an extremely close race that was decided by a bit more than 2,000 votes. Of course, California, despite its reputation for liberalism and soy lattes, has actually proven very elusive to Democrats, who have lost California repeatedly every single election, except for the last one, where Democratic nominee, check my brain, won against Comped. We are now going to the 3rd district, where a neck-and-neck race has also emerged between Tyler 2114 for the Democrats versus Gate tie of the Republicans. It's 49 to 51 in the exit poll, and now we can see that Tyler has won this for the Democrats, 54 to 46. Of course, this was a Republican-held seat, which means that the Democrats have now made a net gain of 1 in the Sierra's House delegation. And now we are finally going into the 4th district, where the Republican nominee, Matthew Hinton, 12345, is facing off against incumbent Sierra Lieutenant Governor Jay Argy of the Democratic Party. The latter currently has a lead, but let's see if he can keep it up in the final results. And he has, winning 59 to 41, which means that, like Lincoln, Sierra's House delegation, like Chesapeake, Sierra's House delegation is majority Democrat, but has a member of the coalition. This brings the Democrats up to 12 House seats versus 5 for the coalition and 1 for the NPF. And now for the final race of the night, we are going to the Sierra Senate race, where former Governor Zuri Kurda of the Civics is facing off against former Lincoln Governor Kiwa's Castle District of the Democrats. Although Kiwa enjoyed a lead throughout the night, throughout the campaign, a lot of Sierra voters appeared to have cooled down to him after he showed up to the debate and answered one question and then left. We are now going to the result to see whether the Democrats can keep their Senate supermajority. And it looks like they've fallen just short, with the Civics winning this seat 50.5 to 49.5, which means that there will now be 3 Civic senators in the Senate versus 6 Democrats and 1 Republican. Although this means the Democrats can close any filibuster, they do not have a supermajority to pass constitutional amendments or to remove federal officers from office through impeachment. Now that we've had all the races except for the list seats, party leaders, would you mind giving me a take on Sierra as well as expectations for control of the House? Let's start off with Ibni for the Civics.
My definitely not there earpiece that is feeding me information throughout the night has basically told me that had we won SR3, there was a good chance we would have taken the House. In this case, it's most likely going to go to the Democrats very slimly, which is very unfortunate, but it'll be a very, very close race nonetheless. There's some missteps in the popular vote that will most likely mean we might be able to take it, but other than that, it's looking like it's going to be a continued trifecta from the Democrats. It's very upsetting that we lost SR1. That was a very hard moral blow to myself and a lot of the other Civics members, as well as much of the coalition. If we do end up winning the House, which is very unlikely, it will be a lot. It'll improve my spirits, but that SR1 loss is very upsetting.
Thank you. Now let's go to DDYT for the Republicans. or not.
I think DDYT is already blackout
So
drunk as a
I didn't
result.
realize.
of this
I
segment.
forgot that I have a separate mute button. I forgot to undo one of them. But this is tough. I'll reserve final judgment for when we get the list C count. But this is indeed tough.
Thank you. And Darth for the Democrats.
So these were some mixed results. Obviously, it's very disappointing to lose SR2, especially after the candidate just did not debate at all. But I guess it's up to the people. The Senate race was also really disappointing. This was, very close, but ultimately we didn't come out ahead. Thankfully, we have kept control of the Senate, though, which is very good to hear. In general, though, I'm very happy to say that two of our entirely new members of the Democratic Party have managed to win their House races. And it's incredibly heartening to see newcomers to the political stage winning so soon. When it comes to general control of the House, I still feel pretty good. We've won 12 races compared to the 5 from the coalition, and polls were looking great for us when it comes to the national popular vote. I'm happy to see another term of a Democratic trifecta. So let's get going.
Great. APG, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, so particularly, again, another seemingly upset Senate race. As you stated, Hurricane, the incumbent Cuba Castro district did not debate. He answered one question, and then that was it. And that is what really turned the tide in former Governor Zarin's favor. From the top turnbuckle, you never expect it. He just comes crashing down and ruins the whole Democratic mood. And I mean, I say ruin the mood. They still have a pretty sizable majority. So maybe perhaps let's remember the perspective. But yeah, those are my thoughts.
Thank you. And now we are going to go to the national popular vote to see who has won a majority in the House and by what margin. And in the House, apologies, first we can look at here at the Senate map, which I have once again forgotten. You can see that while Cuba has decisively won the state of California, his weaker performance in other parts of the state have ensured that the Civics have managed to win this race. Especially, you can see here all of Nevada and most of the first district has gone purple, as has large parts of the third district, while the fourth district appears to be a more even match, although you can see some purple even in the very progressive areas of Hawaii. We are now going into the national popular vote, and we can see here that the Democrats have won 41% of the vote. My apologies. While the Republicans are on 33 and the Civics are on 26.
Hell yeah.
What this translates into is that the Democrats have won 8 seats, the Republicans 6, and the Civics 5, which means that the Democrats have kept their House majority and will be going in with 20 seats, which is the most a single party has won in the House in a very long time. It has actually won more than the Republicans won in a much larger House the last term. While the Civics are on 9 and the Republicans are on 7, the NPF, of course, is on 1. What this means is that for the first time ever, the Republicans are not either the governing party or the largest opposition party in either House of Congress, having been supplanted in that position by the Civics. Now, that's surprising. Or, given recent events, perhaps not. APG, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, again, I don't think this was necessarily super surprising. I think a lot of people came in expecting that the Democrats were going to hold both chambers of Congress. What is surprising, however, is that, as you said, the Republicans are not the largest opposition party for the first time in God knows how long, and that we now have once again another new party joining Congresspeople in the House for, I believe, the second election in a row. The sixth was last federal election. This time it's the new party. So I think that's surprising. But overall, I think this is what a lot of pundits expected, and Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about that.
Great. Now let's start off with Darth. The Democrats have kept their trifectas, although several Star Democratic candidates unfortunately did not get elected this cycle. What do you make of this? Is this still a victory for the Democratic Party?
During the last federal elections, the American people gave us this awesome mandate, and I'm very happy to say that we've kept this trifecta. And yes, it ultimately is a victory. We may not have as wide of a majority, but we still do have a majority. And we command the complete confidence of the American people. There were a couple key races that we unfortunately did lose, but these were ultimately great results. I'm very happy with how things went, and I'm excited for another 3 months of laying out our plan for a better America.
Great. Thank you for that. DDYT, what are your thoughts going into this new term?
Looking at the results, I can only come up with one conclusion. America has been lost. The Republicans have failed. I am officially announcing my resignation from the GOP, joining of the National whatever front. Pick.
Thank you for that. And he's gone. Okay. Wow, something there
So,
just happened.
If I'm keeping account correctly, that's the third time DDYT has left the GOP as a senator and joined a third party.
That's wonderful.
Well,
He joined the Libertarians. Remember that. That happened. I'm pretty sure at some point he joined the Socialists. And then for a third time, he's okay. All right, Boomer.
He's gone.
well, if this announcement turns out to be true, which it seems that it okay.
Slander it. I want to be done. Stop slandering me. Goodbye.
Alrighty. Clearly, if this announcement turns out to be true, this means that for the first time in a while, the Republican Party actually has no more senators. Yeah. Emily, did you have anything else to add, or?
Listen, all I have to
that
say is there in 2020, we're going to win the presidency. Let's go.
Thank you. With that, thank you everyone for joining us for what was clearly a very eventful evening. You've had many things here. You've had a majority of the American people and a majority in 4 states express their confidence in the direction of the current Democratic administration. But you've also had a massive amount of increase in support for the civics, who have now established a firm presence in essentially every state except for Dixie. Meanwhile, the Republicans, after their recent internal division, have lost ground in both the House and the Senate, where apparently they will enter this term with no senators. Meanwhile, the upstart National Popular Front has established itself by winning a seat in the House, and apparently they will now be joined by former Republican Senator DDYT, who was recently reelected. So clearly, there's many takeaways from this race, but with that, we leave you tonight. Thank you everyone for joining us. APG, do you have any final words?
I want to thank everybody for participating in the first federal election, or the new election system, and that's pretty much it. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, everyone. And again, I'd just like to thank all the party leaders for joining us tonight, and I'd like to thank everyone watching for their patience as we figured out how to deal with technical difficulties earlier tonight. We hope it was worth it, and please let us know whether there's anything we can improve in the feedback thread that will be posted eventually in the Meta subreddit. Thank you everyone for joining us, and that is all. Good night.